What better way to spend a week quarantining with the Rona than reminiscing about a wonderful day I spent at the Los Angeles Times Festival of Books, where I was outside and around people. In this video, I'll detail who I met and what I got up to after attending my first panel. After that panel finished, I was fired up and ready to network. I took a look at my numerically organized exhibitors list and approached the nearest ones. The first one I visited was Codex Arcanum. Real indie authors are a collective of local indie writers specializing in fantasy, sci-fi, novels, and comic books. This sounded perfect. Finally, following Courtney Mom's advice for the AWP conference, I immediately bought a graphic novel as a gift for a friend. He's the one who helped me with my query letter. He's also a big Lovecraft fan, so this was perfect. This approach of buying something first worked tremendously. I met Jessica, one of the writers, and had a lovely chat. She was very encouraging about hybrid publishing, being an independent writer, and having the patience to navigate the publishing world. She also recommended using Substack as a way to build up a following of readers. In a future video, I'll explore websites like that, such as Wattpad and Royal Road. She also gave me her business card and encouraged me to email her. Unfortunately, I can't find it. Hopefully it'll turn up, or I can find another way to contact her. Right next door, I met Josh. He's a self-published sci-fi author, and I immediately bought his book. We had a nice conversation about the challenges of publishing. Like me, initially attempted to get traditionally published, but was discouraged by the process. Again, like me, he used that response to rework his book, but instead of pursuing another round of querying, he decided to self-publish on Amazon. Largely, he's been happy with that, but wants to move away from it because he's not a huge fan of Jeff Bezos. However, he does love being able to print on demand. This was his first time having an exhibit at a book festival, and I commend the hustle. Best of luck, Josh. Next up, Writers and Publishers Network. The Writers and Publisher Network is a national literary nonprofit organization that provides education, resources, and opportunities for anyone involved in or interested in publishing. Whether they are authors, freelance writers, artists, or owners of a publishing company, WPN hosts webinars, Zoom meetings, the Talking Book Publishing Podcast, and more. They have some wonderful free services, but some things, like the webinars and the Zoom meetings, require an annual membership of $65. That's pretty reasonable. I had a great chat with a fellow aspiring author named Lee, who's a member of WPN, and he walked me through their resources. One thing he emphasized appreciating is that there's a balance between focusing on the business and the creative sides of writing. Being a goof, I'd incorrectly written in my notes that the next panel started at 1 p.m. when instead it started at 1:30. So I rushed over to wait around. Having an awkward amount of time to kill, I meandered around, ate some snacks, but didn't have quite enough time to rub shoulders again. Ultimately, however, this was nice. I had a little time as an introvert to recharge. This is when I met the world's slowest paper towel dispenser. The weather on that Sunday was kind of strange. It was largely overcast and quite cool, but then the sun would break through and it would become extremely warm. I was glad I had my jacket, but repeatedly donned and doffed it. The second panel I was attending was on a very interesting topic. The myth of the male writer in contemporary fiction is a very big and loaded conversation. Alex Cohen, who moderated the panel, mentioned that in 2024, 2/3 of the best-selling authors were women, and 80% of the sales were by women. One of the authors on the panel mentioned that his classroom reflects this change. Now 70 to 80% of his students are women as well. As one can imagine, this is an extremely delicate thing to discuss. It's easy to take something out of context and misrepresent someone's stance. My take is that these authors were a bit wary of that, and it hampered the discussion. But perhaps those fears were warranted, because during the question section, a male audience member implied that these authors had framed these demographic changes as a dark time, when I don't think they had. To me, this is a subject that requires a lot of nuance and consideration. I don't want to explore it now, but I'll return to it in a future video. Now that the panels were finished, I had a lot of people and organizations I wanted to meet. I headed over to the nearest section of my highly efficient route throughout campus and ended up at No Bad Books. No Bad Books Press is a speculative fiction publisher who believes in creating positive and supportive author communities. Their representatives provided me some resources and were very friendly in terms of encouraging future connection. Their community is for unrepped independent authors. After that, I headed over to an organization that I hope could shore up my greatest weakness: marketing. Black Chateau is a marketing and PR agency specializing in authors. The award-winning firm serves clients from around the world. Black Chateau's sister company, Books That Make You, is a multimedia brand that promotes books through its website, radio show/podcast, and Webby award-winning newsletter. Our motto, we believe in storytellers. I had a lovely conversation with their owner, Desiree, who mentioned that they work with represented and unrepresented authors to come up with strategic book launch plans. She emphasized the value of building an online platform and was very generous with her time. With fantasy in particular, she said that series potential is a huge selling point for agents. When I mentioned this YouTube channel, she recommended that I check out Brandon McNulty and see how he built his audience. She then came up with a genius idea. I should also release this video series as a podcast. It'd translate fairly seamlessly, and I'd reach a totally different audience. Even if I have to re-record a few moments to explain things that are visually represented on the screen, that shouldn't be that much work. It was a wonderful idea. In order to reward myself for taking initiative and putting myself out there, I headed over to Cleverland Puzzles, who create hand-drawn puzzle books inspired by literature, history, and culture. Our puzzles include word searches, logic puzzles, nonograms, and riddles designed for adults who enjoy a challenge. Made in partnership with a local union-owned print shop, our books are unique and eco-conscious. I purchased this, and I'm excited to try it. Next up, I wanted to support and meet another independent author at Nova Dragon Studios. Salustro is an award-winning science fiction and fantasy author who loves outer space, dragons, and stories that include at least one of those things. When not writing, she can be found painting, designing, and sewing plushies, and trying to play video games while her cat attacks the screen. Once again, I immediately bought a book, and I'm excited to give it a read. She mentioned that she self-published, but tried the traditional route first. She found that process very trying, and is glad that self-publishing no longer has the stigma that it once did. I also asked if Nova Dragon was a reference to Final Fantasy IX, but it was not. The last self-published author I visited was the Goblin Queen. The Goblin Queen has written 4 books so far, 2 of which have yet to be published, and 1 has yet to arrange itself. Her words are not numerous. She won 3rd place in a swimming competition when she was 11. That's it. She loves to write and travel to mystical places. She lives in a magical house in a fantasy realm with her family and the ghosts of her dogs. Obviously, I had to visit. I bought a copy of her book, which is an interesting mixed media experience. Due to the cross-genre hybrid nature of the book, she thought self-publishing made the most sense. She would have felt at home at the panel I attended at AWP concerning hybrid authors. As I looped back towards the southern exit of the campus, I passed by a booth for a company that specializes in bringing together authors for book fair events, but unfortunately, they were doing this right next to a big stage. I understand you don't always get to choose where your booth is placed, but this was not ideal. If I was an author conducting an interview, it would be a huge challenge to ignore our giant stage directly next to me. I think Big Sean was on it. I also couldn't find a representative to question, so I moved on. My penultimate visit was to the Greater Los Angeles Writers Society. GLAWS is a nonprofit organization that provides a forum for writers of all disciplines to meet and improve their knowledge and skills in the craft and business of writing. GLAWS accomplishes this through special speaker events, genre-specific critique groups, workshops, conferences, book fairs, and other events that educate and mentor writers. I met an engaging writer who's part of the society, and he mentioned that critique groups are an important tool for writers. It's a very different experience to having beta readers. It's a bit of a transitional time for this organization, but I'm going to keep my eye on it. Last but not least was Akashic Books. Akashic Books is a Brooklyn-based independent company dedicated to publishing literary fiction, crime fiction, and political nonfiction by authors who are either ignored by the mainstream or who have no interest in working within the ever-consolidating ranks of the major corporate publishers. A press after my own heart. At this booth, I met Joanna, who is very friendly and even has a similar background to me. She worked in the music industry. Her press is primarily looking for works that are more literary than experimental, but is open to queries. She even pronounces it the same way. It was a joy to meet a kindred spirit who is equally baffled by the publishing industry's insistence that it's querying, queries, tomato, tomato. With that, I wrapped up my time at the Los Angeles Festival of Books and headed home. Beyond just being flat-out fun, these events have a lot to offer. For authors and readers, there's unparalleled opportunity to network, access to specialized services like that marketing company I mentioned, countless ways to find inspiration through panels, readings, and performances. It's a wonderful way to support writers directly, and it's an opportunity to celebrate community or build one in the literary world. I'll definitely be attending next year. You coming too, Tammy?